The views and opinions expressed by the host of this podcast are solely of their own and do not necessarily reflect the views, opinions, or policies of their employees, affiliates, sponsors, or any other entities associated with them. The content provided in this podcast is for information and entertainment purposes only and should not be construed as professional advice. Listeners are encouraged to independently verify any information discussed and consult with their appropriate professionals and advice tailored to their specific circumstances. Now enjoy the podcast.
I did this as an exercise with my therapist a long time ago when I was working with her, and she just had me sit for like 5 minutes and she walked away and she's like, I want you to write out a list of, there's 3 lists, right? A list of what you like, a list of what you want, and a list of what you need.
That's really good.
Right?
Good exercise.
Great exercise.
Welcome to That's on That podcast, where we navigate the twists and turns of this unpredictable journey and are inviting you to join us in the candid conversations, heartfelt reflections, and even a few laughs along the way.
I'm Bree.
And I am Leo, your co-host for today. Today's topic is going to be all about relationships.
Excellent. So Merriam-Webster dictionary has relationship defined as the state of being related or interrelated. The relation connecting or binding participants in a relationship, such as a kinship. So, Leo, what are the different types of relationships that we may experience throughout our life?
That is a great question, and I'm so glad that you asked. Most people, I feel like, group everyone in their life into these 3 different buckets, okay? And this is like by definition, too. This isn't just like what I think, because my opinion matters a ton, but maybe not the most. So there's 3 different buckets that we're going to talk about over the lifespan. Number 1 is romantic. So typically people have a spouse or spouses. You know, they live their life with that person. They've committed to extracurricular activities or living life with that person. That's romantic. And then you have your family. Okay, these are the people that are typically tied to you specifically by blood, genes, DNA, all that good stuff. That is your family. And then their last one is what you probably have the most of, I would assume, or at least maybe not, the platonic. So these are people that you meet randomly throughout the world. They have no connection based on DNA. And you're also not choosing to do life with them on an exclusive basis. So again, that's romantic. That's your family. And then the platonic. So today, I think we're going to talk about the romantic relationships. But I have this really cool example that I think kind of like sums up how I personally see relationships. So I'm not a gamer. Okay. At all, not a gamer. One of my friends actually makes fun of me because I have a smart TV, first of all. But I watch all of my TV, as in Amazon, Hulu, Netflix, all through my PlayStation. Okay, so for the gamers out there and the non-gamers out there, we're both relating here. But there's this game called Fortnite. Have you heard of it?
I've heard of the name.
Okay, heard of it, but probably know nothing about it. All right.
No,
all you need to know about Fortnite. Okay, all you need to know. Whenever someone says all you need to know, that's not all you need to know. But all you need to know about Fortnite is that there is this ring, okay? So think about you're in this world. Let's just say you're in a state. Let's call it Texas. There's a ring around the state of Texas. And as time goes on, that ring gets smaller and smaller and smaller, okay? And then obviously, like, people are leaving as the ring gets smaller. So I like to think of this as, for example, like your platonic friends are on that outermost core of the ring. And as time goes on, you probably get to see like who your family are, and certain close family are going to continue to be in that small ring. At the very, very end of this, it's probably your romantic relationship. So that's kind of how I like to see it. Hopefully that resonates or means something or paints a better picture of how I see relationships in general. But my question to you is, what has been your biggest struggle in your romantic relationships?
That's
get into it right away.
we're going deep real quick, because that's a great question. Long and short of it, my life is probably the biggest struggle that I have when it comes to relationships, right? So I'm a single person, but
shout out to all the single people.
Right, shout out. But I know that there's deep value in having romantic relationships and having that connection, that partner, that person that's with you against all the battles of life, right? And that is something that I truly, genuinely want in my life. But let me paint a little bit of a picture for you. I am currently taking my life like 1 year at a time right now because of the way that my job is. It's like I don't know where I'm going to be next year. I have ideas of what it's a very like if then situation in my life. Period. So for instance, right? If I get accepted to this program, then this is where I'll be. If I don't get accepted to this program, then I need to figure out what my next job is going to be or what my next spot in my current organization is going to be. And there's just so many variables, and it works for me because it's very structured chaos, and I thrive in an environment like that. But how do you go about then meeting somebody through all of this? Mind you, I'm living in a new state. I've only lived here for a year, and I might move to a new state in another year. So if hypothetically I were to meet somebody here, build a connection, build a relationship with them, and then be like, oh, hey, by the way, I'm not going to be here forever. I'm not.
So like, do you, I don't know if you've like made a list of like, alrighty, well, this is how it has to be. But like, are you like, hey, I need someone who's ready to up and go? Or is it, I need somebody who can maybe be long distance for a little bit or can understand the life that I'm currently living?
That 100%. The latter option on that, right? So I have taken this and my therapist would love me for this, because learning what you need in a relationship is paramount. It allows you to be able to set a boundary. And by the way, these boundaries are for you, not to create an ultimatum for the other person. It is to say, this is something I need for me, right? So another kind of transition into boundaries here, because I'm going to get on a bit of a soapbox. Going through the work and figuring out what you need as an individual in your relationship or from your partner in order to be fulfilled in your relationship is paramount. Otherwise, you're going to be a people pleaser, which I'm a recovering people pleaser, I like to say. And you need to set the boundaries that, like for me, a perfect example is I need somebody who is going to understand, accept, and respect that is a current situation of my life and be willing to adapt along with it, right? It's not going to be this picture perfect, beautiful little house with a white picket fence and 2.5 kids kind of picture.
At least
immediately, right?
Yeah.
It's not, and there's going to be a process to that. So I need somebody who's going to be willing to see the forest through the trees for a little bit, until we can get through that. Now that is my boundary, and
This is a. Okay, sorry.
Oh no, I was just going to say, so like, I don't get to say, hey, I like you, you like me. I need you to do this, otherwise I'm out. Right? That's an ultimatum. Because if I then essentially force that on another person, then they have the opportunity, if they're a people pleaser, which this is where dangerous cyclic processes come in and resentment starts to build, because then they can say, well, I like you, so I'm going to be on board with this. I'm going to change my life. I'm going to make all of these changes to adapt to you. Meanwhile, kind of building a resentment. Now, this is obviously, it's a worst case scenario. My brain goes to like the darkest corners of the world when it comes to this. But, and I'm not saying that everybody is that way. Okay. But it just opens the door for that to be an opportunity. And so that's why I say you have to know the boundaries for you. So it's your decision, not theirs, if that makes any sense. I know I talked in circles and left it kind of.
No. Yeah, it does. So my question with all of that is, and I don't know how to ask this the right way, so I'm going to say it and then we're going to walk it back, okay?
Okay.
Is your life the problem, or is it just really hard to find somebody who can mix in that?
Can it be both?
It absolutely can be both. But if we had to choose a 5149, I always like to do the 5149. We had to choose 5149. It's like, hey, the life that I live is just not conducive, which we talked about this a little bit already, is not conducive to the normal person. You know, like, for example, like being in the military in general, it's like, like just normal people don't want to have to deal with that stress. And it's completely reasonable.
Right. if I was Cindy Lou down the street, I wouldn't want to deal with the stuff I have to deal with in my life either. But because it's you know, I mean, it's stressful, and it's not. We're like creatures of habit, and we like our security, and we like our structure, and we like things to be in these neat little boxes and packages and wrapped up with pretty little bows. And the life I'm currently living, right, and the life of a lot of military people or people that have to travel a lot for work or things like that, their packages are wrapped in newspaper, like crumpled newspaper and trash. You know,
old newspaper from the last move.
Yeah. So it's just there's so much to it. It's great. It's fun. It's character building. I appreciate everything about it that I'm going through, and I'm learning to be very adaptable to anything that really comes my way. It's great, grand, and wonderful. But
so I want to take a quick little transition. So
let's do it.
I've been having like a little bit of, I want to call it like realization lately, which is great. Like, for example, like me being single, I've been telling people like I feel like my heart is like finally off the shelf. You know, it's been on the shelf for a while because I wasn't exactly sure. You know, everyone asks, what are you looking for? What are you interested in? What's your type? All these things.
Yeah.
I don't think I have a type because I think I'm pretty diverse in the people that I like, whether it's platonic or in a romantic relationship. There are certain things I look for. For example, I know now that I'm a little bit vain and I work out all the time because I want to be healthy and I want to look good. And I do want the person that I'm with to also, you know, be healthy and look good. They don't have to be vain, but that's a thing that's important to me. Something else that I have found to be important recently that I'm looking for in a person is passion. Do you have passion about a thing? That's not a characteristic, you know, per se. That's not a thing that they do per se, but it's like, hey, do you like to knit sweaters? You know, are you super interested in doing different designs on knitting sweaters? You know, like, do you like to travel, or do you like to eat special foods? Do you like to find every single coffee shop in your local town? You know, like certain things like that. It's like, what characteristics or traits do you accidentally show when you're living your life? Now, what are you trying to do? For example, when most people look at me, it's like, oh, the work that he's doing is what he's most passionate about. When no, that is a very obvious thing, but that is actually not the passion. There's something else that's behind that, and the microcosm of it is the work. So asking you, you know, in your relationships, have you thought about, you know, what you're actually looking for in that person?
Yes. And I'm still working that.
And that's fine.
Like figuring that out. It's very, I did this as an exercise with my therapist a long time ago when I was working with her, and she just had me sit for like 5 minutes, and she walked away, and she's like, I want you to write out a list of, there's 3 lists, right? A list of what you like, a list of what you want, and a list of what you need.
That's really good.
Right?
Really good exercise.
Great exercise. I got to like a handful of things that I liked, maybe a couple of things that I wanted, and a few things that I need. And then I came back and we went over it, and she was like, literally, that was her face.
It does look like a good face.
Yeah. And I was like, did I do it wrong? And no, it was, so a fun fact, dealing with all the trauma history that I have with my relationships, I didn't know like what I needed from somebody. The list of things that I had of what I needed was like basic human decency, right? Be a kind person. Yeah. That was on my list of like I need, right? Yeah. But
it's more than that.
It's way more than that. And
way more than that.
I was like, but I've never.
And you should never settle for just that. Yeah. But you should never settle for just that. You know, right. I think that there's a decent amount of people who have waited a while, and it's like, already, I did have this list. Let me just bring it back to, I want you to be a nice person and care about others and to really like me. That's another thing, is like to really like me. I just need somebody to really like me. It's like, don't ever just settle for just that.
No.
It's not enough. No. And you deserve more. You deserve more. Importantly, you deserve more.
Yes. So yeah, those are all. I mean, add that into my list of struggles of going in, because figuring all of that out is all really hard. Also, I'm an introvert, and in order for me to figure all of that out on those lists, I have to, like, I don't know, go out and date people and meet people and do the things, and it's like, I don't want to.
So to this on what you need, do you think that you are actually missing that romantic relationship in your life? Because like wanting it is one thing and needing it is another. And I don't think that anyone ever needs it. But like maybe let me ask this. Are you prepared and ready for it?
Given the fact that I have to hesitate right there, I'm gonna say probably not. Probably not. I know I still have a lot of work to do. And the only way that I'm going to actually like be at a point where I'm ready for something like that is to do the work and go out and face the music and meet people and date and do the things. But here's the other problem that I have, and this is why it's so messy. And the biggest pet peeve for me is wasting time. It is a finite resource. We only have so much. We don't get it back. And I have a lot of stuff going on. I got a lot of shit going on in my life, and I have to do certain, I've got deadlines. I have things that I have to do. I'm on a path. And so it's like, if I go out and I do the dates and I do the things, but it amounts to nothing, is that a waste of time?
It is.
And
not.
This is what I'm like battling with myself. I know my logical brain says, no, it's not a waste of time, because these are all the great, grand, and wonderful things that you're going to get out of it, even if nothing comes of it, right?
Realization will come of it.
Yeah. So much good is going to come from it. But it's like, it's hours of my time every week. That is like, I need those hours. I mean, you're talking to somebody who meal preps the same food every day, every week, so that I have time.
Yeah.
So I'm not spending time cooking and cleaning and doing all of this stuff. And I don't have to think about what I'm going to eat because it's just there. So that's it's a work in progress. I'm not saying that I'm not going to do it. I'm just saying.
Future partner of Bree, make sure that you do not waste her time.
Welcome to the crazy inside my brain. Yeah.
So do you have any other questions? Yeah. Do you have any other questions? I have one thing that I probably want to leave with, but did you have any other questions that you?
I feel like we talked a lot about my struggles. What are you struggling with?
As a ex-military soldier, like I never understood until recently how the military life affects the whole thing. Like I feel like I have so much more time now. Like it's ridiculous. Even though I wasn't like a full-time active duty soldier, like now still I have so much time, less commitment. I don't have to think as much. Like, hey, like I can do this whatever, or I can do this weekend, or like anytime someone's like, hey, you got something going on this weekend? Like most likely I don't, if you ask in a good amount of time.
I got to interject really quick. I'm so happy for you for that. That makes me very happy for you.
Thank you. But with that being said, I think that, like I had on my conscience the whole time, because I'm like a protector and a provider, that like if I have to leave, then that's on my conscience of what if something happens to me, or what if I'm gone for too long and something happens to them. Not saying that doesn't happen in everyday life, so everyone should still take that into consideration.
Right.
But yeah, my biggest struggles are, someone said I was too picky, and I don't think that's it. I think it's yeah. I don't think too picky is the right thing. It's so let me go this way. My past relationships have failed because I've committed to the potential of a person. And I try to make sure that like whenever I meet somebody who I want to get romantically involved with, I check my thought process and my emotions and say, Artie, are you projecting on what this person could be, or are you actually seeing who they are today? Especially at our age, like
Yeah.
People are going to just continue probably on the path that they're already on. Wherever that is, they're just going to continue on that path. So that's my thing, is like seeing, and this sounds really bad, but probably seeing more of people than they see of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to like actually find somebody that's like, hey, number one, I think highly of myself and what I can do, have done, and will do. But also like I have stuff going on, like I need them to think that. I need them to be like, hey, I got stuff going on too. Like I'm busy. I can't be talking to you all the time. Like I got stuff to do with my life.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else are my struggles? Yeah, me being busy. I ignore my phone a lot, so I apologize to everybody who I ignore my phone a lot, and I get in trouble for it a lot too. So thank you for being a good friend and not and not saying anything about it.
You're busy. Hey, I shut off my phone from time to time because I'm like,
yes, you
don't
do.
want to talk to anybody. Fuck
yes, that's fair. What other struggles? I'm sure I have a lot of struggles, but I'm blanking on them right now. I think those are probably the biggest two. Is number one, I probably wasn't emotionally ready, like mentally ready to jump into something, because like, hey, my career is doing this, or my life looks like this. It's really hard for somebody to step into it. But yeah, I think I'm turning the corner now. I think turning the corner started with me knowing what I wanted, though. I will say that, because knowing what I want and saying like, all right, if this person had this, this, and this, then my life wouldn't be interrupted. I wouldn't have to worry about some of those issues that I'm scared of. So
yeah, that's great. That's freaking fantastic. That makes me happy for you. I'm excited to see what unfolds for you.
Yes. Alrighty, so I want to leave everybody with this. I want to call it a quote, but it's more so of a fact. So if anyone knows about the 12 laws of the universe, then they would know that the number one is the law of divine oneness. So it's the first and most foundational law of the universe, in which it highlights that the interconnectedness of all things. So it says that beyond our senses, every thought that we have, every action that we make, and event, everything is somehow connected to anything and everything else. And I thought this was interesting because like we just talked about the romantic form and how like everything that you need to do probably needs to be connected to this person, needs to flow in some sense, whether there's a push and pull. It's the same thing when it comes to like us and how we do our day to day, or how people are into astrology and what is that, the zodiac signs and stuff like that. What are those called? Those things.
I think it's astrology. No,
astrology.
I don't know. Anyway, zodiac.
The zodiac signs, and how like the moon and the water affect your feeling. Like everything is connected. And I think that kind of like sums up how you started this with like relationships are the interconnectedness of things. So make sure that when you're thinking about your platonic relationships or your family or your romantic relationships, which we talked about today, or the struggles of those, like understand that that's connected to something else. Once you figure out what that's connected to, then you can probably move forward onto the next. So I already mentioned therapy today. Go to therapy, talk to your friends, and get more connectedness in your life, and you will most likely grow past where you are today.
I love that so much. Just on that note, just remember, like, we're all connected. Like in one way or another, we're all on this earth. We're all humans breathing the same air, doing the thing. We're all here.
Doing the thing, yeah.
And we're all connected some way or another. An activity that a buddy of mine at work actually started with me. Every once in a while, we'll just kind of get into this, I don't know, vibe, if you will. And it's like we just kind of go back and forth on like, how many siblings do you have? Do you have, how many cousins do you have? This, that, and the other. And we just go back and forth and answer each other's questions. And they can just be completely random. Like, what color is your mom's eyes? Or what's your dad's middle name? It's like, and our dads have the same name.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, right? So it's like we just find these weird little connections. And the further that you go, the deeper that you get into it, it's like, oh, like, this is weird at how we are from completely different parts. Like, we're only connected to each other by this one thing, our job. Wow. But we have so many other things that connect us in life if you just dig deep enough and ask.
Yeah, love that.
Right? So this has been great. I've really enjoyed this.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Do you have anything else for us, Leo?
I'm all good.
I'm all set. I'm all talked out for the day. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We really hope that you enjoyed this journey with us. That's on that, folks. We'll see you next week. And that's on that, guys. Don't forget, anonymously or otherwise, we want to hear from you. Make sure you reach out to us at that'sonThatEpisode@gmail.com. You can also find us on Instagram and Twitter/X. Our handles there is the same. It's at that'sonThatPod. We'll be posting episodes weekly, and we'll have some pop-up solo episodes here and there as stuff pops up in our own lives. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. Thank you again for tuning in. We hope you stick around and enjoy this journey with us. That's on that. We'll see you next week.